Here it is, guys. It's finally here. The DC's Legends of Tomorrow Season 6 finale. We need to talk about this episode and really what's been going on with this show in this whole season. Because as you probably noticed, the last video I did on the show, I think was episode 12. Because episodes 13 and 14, I didn't even watch until literally a couple hours before this new episode. I actually watched all 3 episodes back to back, just because I've been super busy the past couple weeks. But wow, a lot happened, not only in those other 2 episodes, but specifically this finale. A lot happened, not only wrapping up, of course, this storyline, of course, doing the farewell to John Constantine, but also with setting up next season with a very interesting, crazy moment at the end of the episode, which was unexpected, but also like really confusing and shocking and like really cool. So we're going to talk about that and everything else that went down in this episode. But guys, of course, quick spoiler warning: if you've not yet seen DC's Legends of Tomorrow Season 6, Episode 15. So let's talk about this, guys, because already going into it, this episode is already following up after last week's episode, Episode 14, where we had the death of John Constantine, or the supposed death of John Constantine. So that already got me super hyped and super intrigued to see where we're going to go in this season finale. And we actually kind of jump right into things relating to that at the beginning of this episode with, first of all, the return of Behrad because he was off visiting his family. But when he comes back, you see Zari and Astra come back to the Wave Rider and get everybody the news that, yeah, John is dead. And all that's left is this mushroom. This is the mushroom that grew in his place after he kind of seeped into the ground and just became part of nature. So, of course, Behrad, with all his funky stuff that he does and him being into mushrooms and all that kind of stuff, he automatically thinks that this mushroom is actually John. John is inside the mushroom and he is alive. And of course, everybody else just thinks he's crazy. They think he's just high, and honestly, he probably is. But everybody else goes off doing other things while Sara stays there in the room, and all of a sudden she does hear the voice of John Constantine talking to her through the mushroom. And she does exactly what he says: eat the mushroom. And she takes a little bite, and then all of a sudden she's transported, basically, I don't know if it's like inside the mushroom or it's like some other sort of realm, but she then gets to talk to John. And it was really crazy because it was like it was almost like a heaven angelic type of state. I don't really know how to explain it because like everything around was white, like the mushrooms were white, John, like his whole outfit was white, his hair was white. It was really trippy and like really crazy. But he reveals here in this scene that yes, he is alive, but he is basically trapped there in the mushroom, and because he's the only thing that is keeping both the Fountain of Imperium and Spooner alive at this point in time. So he can get out of there, but if he does, then that would mean the loss of both Spooner and the Fountain. So he can't do that, and he's realized like what he's done over these past couple episodes is a really jerk thing, but it's also very in character for John Constantine. So he basically banishes himself and punishes himself to make this sacrifice to save everyone else. But the one last thing that John Constantine does say to Sara before she leaves is he tells her the key to life, and he says, we are all connected. And when Sara comes back to the Wave Rider and tells everybody that's what he said to her, they think she's high too. But then we see that come back full circle at the end of the episode, where they are all connected. But meanwhile, we have Nate and Ava actually going back in time to recruit the younger version of Bishop before he even created the first Ava. And he is now going to help them out in their mission in this episode. And he actually ends up making a cure to save Spooner. So that's all good and everything. But they kind of realize that they're about to fight this war. It's going to be this crazy alien war, and they don't know how it's going to end. They don't know if they're going to make it out of this alive. So Sara and Ava decide that they should just get married. They should just do it because, again, they don't know how that's going to turn out. They don't know if they're going to make it out of this alive. So why not go out on a high note after, officially becoming married? Like, that would be really cool. Although, obviously not, because they'd be dead, but still, at the same time, it's better than not being married, But But anyway, that's what they decide to do. They decide to have the wedding before war. Ava asks Gary to walk her down the aisle, and the wedding starts, and they do their vows and everything. It's going great until, of course, Bishop shows up, because of course it's not an Arrowverse wedding without some sort of villain showing up. Of course, throwback to Crisis on Earth X, where we had the wedding of Barry and Iris, and then Nazis from an alternate Earth show up. So something very similar happens here. Wedding's going great, and then Bishop shows up with his alien army. They attack, and it's like a huge army of just CGI aliens here. So of course the Legends, they don't stand a chance, so they retreat automatically. They go back into the house. But this is where we find out the true meaning of what John said earlier in the episode with "we are all connected," because it turns out Spooner now has the powers of the Fountain of Imperium. So she can actually swap everyone's powers. So that's literally what this whole scene here is at the end. This big fight scene is that everyone is fighting back against the aliens, and they're like all switching powers back and forth. It was really, really cool to see, and that was something I was wondering about going forward, because, you know, when it comes to the character of Spooner, like, her whole power this season has been that, she can communicate with aliens. But, you know, this season of Legends of Tomorrow is about aliens, and next season it's not aliens. That was kind of just the theme for season 6. So I was wondering, like, alright, how is she going to be useful going forward if we're not dealing with aliens? Well, this is how, because now she has a brand new power set, which is, like, really powerful. So we get this crazy all-out war. They actually finish the official ceremony, and Ava and Sara are now officially married, so that's great and everything. And basically just their connection and the power of love and their Legends' friendship and bond basically just is able to fight back and kill all the aliens with like one swoop. So that happens. The day is saved until, of course, you got Bishop still out there. But then Mick and Kayla's eggs actually hatch, because of course that was something that happened a couple episodes ago, in episode 13, which again I just watched, where Mick, he was pregnant and he had the babies. They hatched his eggs, but in this part here, they actually hatch out of the eggs, and you've got all these tiny alien squids just basically eating Bishop. So they all kill Bishop. Bishop is dead, and then you've still got young Bishop, who they just wipe his memory and send back to where it was before, so they can keep the timeline intact. And then we get our endings. We get our setup for next season and our farewells and goodbyes for this season of DC's Legends of Tomorrow. So first of all, John Constantine, of course, this was something we heard about a couple months ago, that Matt Ryan was leaving the show as Constantine. He's going to be coming back to the show next season, but as a brand new character. So this is our goodbye to John Constantine, and it was a nice little scene here where we had Zari out in the woods, and she's like basically saying her final goodbye to John, and then all of a sudden he shows up. Turns out he's alive now because the fountain was able to heal itself, but now he had to make a deal with some sort of demon, and his soul basically belongs to another demon. But, you know, what else is new with this character? And it ends off with him giving a key to Zari, and we have no idea what the key is for. I'm assuming maybe it's a key to his mansion. That's what I'm assuming. I don't really know what else it would be for, but of course we'll find out next season. And then he walks off, and that is it. That is the end of John Constantine on DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and probably the end of John Constantine in the Arrowverse, which is really sad, because I've said it plenty of times before, and I'll say it again. Matt Ryan is the perfect John Constantine, and it's so sad, and it just sucks that he's done as this character, and he's basically retired from the character now, because of course we are getting a Constantine series for HBO Max, which is going to be really cool, but, you know, it's just going to be weird not having it be Matt Ryan, because again, he's just such a perfect Constantine. He's played Constantine both in live action and animation, so it's just really sad. It really is. And he went out with this big arc at the end of this season, so I feel like he went out in a fairly John Constantine way. But again, it is just sad that we're not going to be seeing this character again. And actually, speaking of that, we also get the goodbye of Mick Rory. Heatwave, he's leaving the team as well. That's another thing we heard a couple of months ago, was that Dominic Purcell, who plays the character, is like, I don't exactly remember what was going on, but he had some sort of beef with like the CW or like the people working on the show, and he basically said that he's quitting and he's leaving the show, and this is it. So he's decided that he is leaving the Legends, and he and Kayla are just going to go off to raise their kids, which makes sense, but it is, I guess it is what it is, because he's one of the original legends. Now Sara's the only OG legend left on the team, which is even more sad. So I would have liked to have there have been like a better ending to this character on the team instead of just like one quick scene. But again, it wasn't really something that was planned, and it was kind of just like a last minute thing. So I understand, but it is what it is, and yeah, it's sad. It's really sad. But then we do indeed get the crazy cliffhanger ending where the legends, they're walking off into the sunset. You think everything's good. The Legends of Tomorrow logo pops up on screen, and then all of a sudden goes back to it. They're still walking, and then suddenly another Wave Rider, or at least what it looks like was another Wave Rider, pops out of a portal in the sky, comes down, shoots, and blows up our Wave Rider, and then just flies off. And that's where the season ends. So I have no idea what that, clearly it's setting up for season 7. I don't know what it is, because again, it looked like another Wave Rider, so I don't know if it's something of maybe if the legends got on that ship, then they were going to die or something like that. So the other legends from the future were coming to save them, or I don't really know what's going on here, but it's definitely really crazy and definitely gets me really hyped for season 7, which, by the way, season 7 starts next month. Can you believe that? There's no break here. And that's just absolutely blowing my mind. But yes, DC's Legends of Tomorrow Season 6 just ended yesterday by the time you're seeing this video. And now all of a sudden, DC's Legends of Tomorrow Season 7 starts next month, Wednesday, October 13th, which will be followed by the premiere of Batwoman Season 3 after that. So wow, I guess we're not getting much of a break from this show, but, that's fine. It's a good show. I enjoy, and I'm excited to see what's in store for Season 7, especially because, it is literally right around the corner, so we don't really know what to expect. Although one thing we do know is coming in Season 7 is the 100th episode of this show, so I'm really excited to see what we get from that episode. Caity Lotz, who plays Sarah Lance, is directing the episode, so I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing, some returning characters or anything like that, but we do know that we're getting a panel at DC Fandom on October 16th, a couple days after the premiere of Season 7, that will be specifically focusing on that 100th episode. So, I'm really excited to see that, really excited to see what we have in store for Season 7. Again, right around the corner, super excited for that. But guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about the season finale for DC's Legends of Tomorrow Season 6? And what do you think about this season overall? Of course, your thoughts, theories, and predictions for Season 7. And thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep up to date on everything goes on in the DC life.